and welcome to Manika IAS. Welcome to the lecture Insurgency in Manipur. So, uh, Yesterday we discussed insurgency in the state of Nagaland. Today we'll discuss insurgency in the state of Manipur and Arunachal Pradesh. So, first let us discuss about insurgency in Manipur. See, uh, before we get to the seeds of insurgency in Manipur or history of Manipur, let us discuss about the demography of Manipur because demography of Manipur has a bigger role to play when it comes to the present day existence of insurgency in the state. Okay, see, Manipur is largely two areas. One is valley region, another is hilly region, and there are three predominant tribal groups which are staying in Manipur. One is Maitis. Maitis are largely Hindu group which constitutes almost 60% of the population of Manipur. Then the second group is Kukis and Nagas. Third is Nagas. See, both of them stay largely in hilly region. They are largely present in valley region. Okay. Now, Kukis are largely Christians, and if you see the population of these two groups are lesser because they composed about 60% of the population of Manipur. Now look into this map. In this map you can appreciate the presence of this group. So this is the Naga dominated area, and this is also the area which is being demanded under Greater Nagaland. Okay, this is Maiti dominated area, and this is the region dominated by the Kuki tribe. This is by Kuki Maitis, and this is by Naga. Okay, so this is a broad division of demography in Manipur. So what has happened is there are fight among these three groups in Manipur when it comes to the insurgency in Manipur. So now let us discuss about the history of Manipur. See, when you talk about history, so in 1947 India gained independence, right? However, it was in 1949 when the instrument of accession was signed and the Manipuri king Maharaja Bodha Chandra. What was his name? Maharaja Bodha Chandra. So he was the person who was the king at the time of independence, and in 1947 he didn't agree, but in 1949, with the threat of invasion by Burmese, they agreed and they signed instrument merger agreement with the Indian government in 1949. And this move of Maharaja was opposed by Maitis. Because as we have read in the first lecture when we were talking about insurgency in Northeast, that they want separate identity, they want sovereign because they were not naturally inclined towards the Indian state. Okay, so their inherent demand is to have have a separate sovereign land of their own. Okay, so that is why it was Maitis who opposed this move of Maharaja, okay, of signing accession. However, it was in 1958 that AFSPA was also imposed. Now you think why it was in 1958 that AFSPA was introduced in Manipur, in the state of Manipur. See, what happened as we discussed while we were discussing the state of Nagaland, it was in 1958 that Indian government sent their army to suppress the armed revolution which was there in Nagaland at that point of time. So initially it was AFSPA was only introduced in the Naga dominant area in Manipur. However, it was later extended to the entire Manipur. Okay. And as a result of which, in 1964, United National Liberation Front UNLF was formed. Okay. Now, what were they demanding? They were demanding that we need secession. They want to have a separate state. They want secession from the state of India. Okay. Now this formation of UNLF and demand for secession was followed by emergence of a lot of numerous group and which collectively are known as Valley Insurgent Group. Why Valley Insurgent Group? Because these groups are present in valley area where Maitis are dominated. So here the demand for secession is being led by the Maiti community by and large. Okay, so the name of some groups are People Revolutionary Party of Kangilipak, Pripak. You don't need to remember all the names, and further, when we are discussing history, it is not important for you to memorize each and every fact. And the only purpose of discussing history for you to understand the present challenges that government is having and how the government is dealing with these challenges. See, obviously UPSC will not ask you question on the history part of any of the insurgency that we have dealt so far, okay, but they'll be discussing, they'll be asking you about the government initiative, the threat they are posing, and the challenges. So you will not be able to answer these questions until and unless you have a clear idea of the background. If you will not know the causes of an issue, how will you be able to address that issue? Now you would not be able to. So for a better understanding of demography and challenges in a particular area, it is important for you to understand the history. So it is less for you to memorize, but more for you to understand the developmental challenges that it has and how the insurgency has unfolded in these areas. Okay. So another such was PLA, People's Liberation Army. Now, interesting fact was these group, they received arms and training from China because China also want to conquer areas of India na, when it comes to Arunachal Pradesh and the bordering areas to, and also to create instability in the Indian region. So this was given by China. The training and arms were given by China. Now, then these groups now had two agenda, not only secession, but two agenda they had. One was definitely secession and independence. Second, they wanted to ward off the Naga insurgent groups. Okay, so this was the dual purpose of these groups which came up in the valley region. They wanted to throw off Naga population from there, Naga insurgent groups from there, and they also wanted to gain independence. So they wanted the land only for themselves in this area. However, it was in 1956 that Manipur gained the status of UT, and it was in 1972 that it gained the status of full statehood. Okay. Now, if we talk about the modus operandi of this group, how do they operate? They do attack Indian security forces. They carry out extortion in order to fund them, and they also cause blockade of road, and they also kangaroo courts. Like they run parallel administration. Parallel administration is the term. They run parallel administration in these areas in order to assert their dominance, in order to assert their political and economic presence in these areas. Okay, so they just want to destroy and do not want the state symbols to get active in those areas so that they can maintain their consistent presence in these areas. Okay, now there are some sources which have also claimed that these insurgent group, and mind you, these insurgent groups are still active in Manipur, and Manipur, one of the state which have the largest amount of insurgent activities when we are talking about in northeastern areas. Okay, so PLA, specifically People Liberation Army, is considered to have connection with CPI Maoist as well, and they are the one who are now supplying them arms. So this is the extent of their linkages. Now, if you talk about other issues. So this was the issue which was there in valley region, but then there is mutual clashes between Kukis and Nagas. What is the issue? Kukis and Nagas both are in hilly areas. Okay, so they have a clash among themselves. So Naga want to acquire the region, Kuki want to acquire the area. Kuki at a time demanded uh, Kuki land. Now, this Kuki land also had area which was inclusive of some area of Myanmar, but now it is only restricted to the separate state for cookies from Manipur itself. Now they have reduced their demand, but at one point of time they demanded for Kuki land. Okay, what Nagas are demanding for? They are demanding to include the entire area that we discussed here in Greater Nagalim. So the demand of Greater Nagalim is one thing which is impacting the peace in Manipur as well. Greater Nagalim. Okay. And due to this, they both have mutual clashes also. So the insurgent group of Kuki include Kuki National Organization, and the armed wing is called Kuki Revolutionary Army and Kuki National Front. Kuki Revolutionary Army and Kuki National Front. These are some of the organization. Okay. Now, if we talk about the origin of these groups, see how when did the group arrive? What happened in 1993? See, the resistance was always there. Okay, they always had this discontentment, but in 1993, what happened? A NSCN, IM, Isaac Movia, faction of NSCN, they led a massacre of cookies. Okay, now in this massacre, it left thousands of cookies homeless and cookie zombie tribes. After this operation, they started organizing various armed groups. So this was the turning point where which was responsible for them to organize them into uh, various armed groups. Okay, another clash also occurred during the same time, which was between Maitis and Maitis Pangals. So while we were discussing about Maitis, we said they are largely Hindu, but a section of Maitis is also Muslim. So Muslim Maitis Pangals are basically Muslims, and these are Hindus. So this was a communal clash which led to uh, an Islamic organization being formed, named as People United Liberation Front. So these are all the sort of clashes which are there, and these are all the issues which are there in Manipur. And in order to control and in order to bring stability in this area, it was in 2008 that the government of India undergo signed a suspension of operation agreement. Suspension of operation agreement. Suspension of operation. So this was a sort of a ceasefire agreement. This was signed between center, state of Manipur and Kuki zombie group. One thing that you need to keep in mind is in this agreement, valley insurgent groups were not part. They did never entered the agreement with the center and state, and as a result of which these groups are still active in the region of Manipur. And as we are discussing presently, also there are violent clashes which are going on in the state itself, because the state has passed an order, as we discussed earlier, for Maitis to be included in the group of scheduled tribes. if they are included, the if the dominant caste of any region, the dominant tribe of any region is included, it is included in scheduled tribe, that means they will get extra benefit, extra privileges when it comes to economic benefit, job benefits, and etc. Although already there is a resource crunch. Okay, so if you will give uh, more power and position to the dominant group, then definitely the group who are not dominant, who are minority groups, will have an objection with that. And that is the reason of current in violent clashes as well. So now we will discuss how the things will fold out. Right now, even high court are there to interfere, and they are trying to control the situation, but we are yet to see the final outcome. So we shall see. And yeah, we shall see and move forward to the next state. So far, we have discussed insurgency in the states of Nagaland and Manipur. Now, we shall discuss the insurgency in the state of Arunachal Pradesh. Insurgency in Arunachal Pradesh. Okay. Arunachal Pradesh is the easternmost state of India. It has its international border with three countries, namely Bhutan, China, and Myanmar. Now, see, when it comes to insurgency, largely it is a peaceful state, and if you see the trends also has declined in the recent past. Like in 2021, there were almost around 20 incidences of insurgency, and in the latest thing is ki there were 20 there were some 15 groups which surrendered themselves to the chief minister of Arunachal Pradesh in March 2023. And Arunachal Pradesh also signed a boundary agreement with Assam. So they have settled their 123 villages ka ek agreement in their border areas. So they both of the states are settled in 2023 itself. So largely it is peaceful, but it has issues on four basic areas. Like there are four basic issues that they have. Okay, and the thing is they are not from the state within itself. Okay, so the people who are staying within the state are not fighting among themselves, they are peaceful. It's the element from the external area who is who are creating nuisance for the state. Okay, so the first and the foremost issue is of Chakma and Hajong. अब ये क्या है? Hajong refugees. So this is the first issue. Is now what does it say is कि Chakmas are basically of Buddhist origin and Hajong are of Hindu origin who were who came to India in 1960s. Okay, from Bangladesh. And at that time Bangladesh was not even there. Okay, it was East Pakistan. ठीक है? East Pakistan at that time. Bangladesh came into existence in 1971. Okay. Now, these refugees they came and settled in Arunachal Pradesh, and their current population is about 65,000. So, the people of Arunachal Pradesh, the tribal people of Arunachal Pradesh, are saying that their entry into the Arunachal Pradesh is a threat to their ethnicity, their identity. Okay, so however, if you see, government of India has said that they are willing to remove them from Arunachal Pradesh and shift them outside India. Okay. However, all the international forums and human rights associations have told India they should accommodate and give them the citizenship. See, the thing is, they came in India in 1960s. Okay. And today is 2023. So it is already more than 50 years. Now, they say is कि the people who genuinely came there in 1960s, most of them are not even alive. Okay, and the people who are presently the population of Chakma and Hajong are the people who was born in India, who were born in India. So how can you refuse citizenship to them? Although this is still, the matter is still not settled, and we do not know what's going to be the course of action, but the people who are actually living in this area in Arunachal Pradesh, the indigenous people who are living in Arunachal Pradesh, they are agitated by their entrance. But it's a long time since they are here, and to deny them citizenship is also not justified. Okay. However, let's see what decision the government take, and we shall be there abiding by the decision. But let's see forward. Now, this was one thing. Second, now this was happening in these borders. Now, on the western side, this western side, Tibetans, Bhutanese, and Nepalese people are exerting their dominance in Arunachal Pradesh. So China always want to assert dominance in Arunachal Pradesh. So the people from Tibet, the people from Bhutanese and Nepalese people, they are exerting their dominance in the western side. In the center, the population from Bangladesh is creating tension. So this is basically a demographic tension which is there in Arunachal Pradesh. Okay. Now the second issue is presence of NSCN. So, when we were dealing with the Nagaland, the issue of Nagaland, we have seen that NSCN has two factions. One Isaac Movia and the other was Kaplang factions. Both of the factions are available, are present in Arunachal Pradesh in this area, Changlang, Tarap, and Longdang, TLC region. Okay. Now, here and the presence of NSC and IM in Khaplang is there. Now, please recall when we were dealing with Nagaland, we said that IM demanded Greater Nagalim. Now, the composition of Greater Nagalim also include these areas. Okay, that's why their presence is there in this area. Further, the presence of Ulfa is also there. Ulfa we will read when we'll discuss in about Assam. That is when we'll discuss about the insurgency in Assam, we'll discuss about Ulfa as well. This is third issue, presence of Ulfa, and it is present in the region of Lohit, Changlang, and Tirap. This area. Ulfa is present. And why it is present? Because see, what happen is these organization they find their rescue in the neighboring countries. Okay, so for their infiltration into Myanmar, they use these areas because since they have border areas with Myanmar. Okay, and further since 1980s they have been using these area for infiltration into Assam. It was in 2003 that the strategic importance of these area increase when the military ouster occur in Bhutan. Okay, when they were removed from Bhutan, the importance from of this area increases. Earlier, they also used to use these areas because since they do have a border with Bhutan as well. However, in 2003, when they were removed from the Bhutan, they used these area, and the importance of these area increases since they use these area to infiltrate into Myanmar whenever they want to move out of the country. Okay. Now the fourth issue is presence of CPI Maoist. CPI Maoist is also present in the area of Lohit and Dibang. This area. Lohit and Dibang. CPI Maoist is present in these areas. So their presence create violent tension in the area. Now, if you will notice, it is in this area, the eastern area, where you will find that a lot of organizations, lot of militant organizations are there, insurgent organizations are there, and so does the lot of instabilities there in the border area, which even make the border fragile. We'll discuss about the border issue when we'll discuss border issues later in the classes as we go ahead. But yeah, this is broadly the issue with Arunachal Pradesh. But by and large, it is peaceful only. It doesn't have that much issue. The bigger issue in Arunachal Pradesh, apart from the insurgency, is the border and China infiltration into Arunachal Pradesh. That we'll discuss later. But this was all about insurgency in Arunachal Pradesh.